Hello, welcome to Laughing Place Movie Club. I'm Alex, joined today by Mike Celestino. How's it going, Mike?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. And today we're talking about Adventures in Babysitting from the late 1980s. I can't remember the year exactly, so it's like the Goldbergs, 1980, whatever.
87.
Thank you, 87. I have fond memories of this film from my childhood. It was nice to get to relive it on Disney Plus, although it's not quite the version I remember as a kid. And yes, I did watch this as a child because I think it's only rated PG. So by 1987 standards, nothing here was objectionable for a family to consume. Mike, I'm curious to know, what's your history with Adventures in Babysitting?
I also loved this movie growing up. I saw it with my mom, I believe, in the theater and watched it a number of times after that again, having really enjoyed it. And I wouldn't agree that nothing was objectionable, but I think the things that were objectionable made sense in the context of the movie, which is why it's so baffling to me that we can't just have the original version on Disney Plus. It feels like they really took the teeth out of this film. I watched it today, and it ruins so many jokes. It really felt like a bummer. I really just wanted to go and find a version that wasn't edited.
I thankfully have it on Blu-ray, but you don't fool with the babysitter. No, I don't think I saw it in theaters. If I did, I would have been too young to remember. But this was a repeat rental from our local mom and pop shop, and then eventually Blockbuster. And when it came out on Blu-ray, probably like 10 years ago, I finally picked it up. And this movie was the reason I wanted like a 4-post bed. Like when I got into high school and I got my own room finally, and my mom took me furniture shopping, immediately I saw a bed with 4 posts, and I was like, that one. It's just like Adventures in Babysitting.
There was a brief moment today where I had a little bit of downtime, and I was like, what if I shoot like a really quick, like guerrilla style remake of the opening sequence with me lip singing to "And Then He Kissed Me" to play at the beginning of this, and I was like, nah, that's a lot of effort.
What a tease. I want that. I want that in my life now. Yeah, I'm sad you mentioned it because I can visualize it and it's great. And I want to see it.
Actually, the only movie that I've ever like written on my own opened with an homage to that scene. It was a kid in his bedroom singing along to a different song, but it was an homage to the opening of Adventures in Babysitting, which I loved that opening scene for whatever reason. There's so many parts of this movie that were so like burned into my memory, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, Elizabeth Shue is great in that moment, singing into her hairbrush, and spinning around her 4-post bed. She's great in this in general. I remember as a kid thinking she must be like the biggest star in the world, and then feeling like she just kind of disappeared because she was in this. Was it Back to the Future 1 or 2?
She replaced the original Jennifer in the second and third Back to the Future. So she's in 2 and 3.
Yeah, there was something else she was in, and then I didn't hear from her for a really long time. And then she pops up in Hamlet 2 as herself. I don't know if you've seen Hamlet 2.
I have, yeah, that's a fun one.
So when he goes to the school nurse and he's like, "You remind me of my very favorite actress of all time, Elizabeth Shue," and she goes, "I am Elizabeth Shue."
Right. Well, she didn't she win an Oscar or something from Leaving Las Vegas? Was she? I'm pretty sure.
I'm sadly not up on. I'm no Elizabeth Shue aficionado.
She was at least nominated.
I got to jump in. Yeah, she won an Oscar, and she was in Body Wars.
Body Wars. Yeah, I just found that out today from Tony, actually.
Wow. Big Disney connection.
It's a fact checker popping in
there. Yeah.
I'm also disappointed that Mike didn't take the time to make that video.
I was like thinking, I was like, how long would this take me to do?
Not worth it, apparently, but worth mentioning it and disappointing everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So this was if I'm not mistaken, the directorial debut of Chris Columbus, who had done film work before, but this was his first at the reins as a director.
And it, like Home Alone, it has a shot of a lawn jockey getting knocked over by a vehicle. I did not realize that was a director trademark of Chris Columbus.
Yeah, it's in the Harry Potters, I'm pretty sure.
Is it really? Okay.
No.
Well,
No,
I didn't. I honestly, you could have fooled me because I didn't. I've seen those movies once each, I think. So.
Yeah, no, it's not in those. But I didn't notice until this viewing the Gremlins backpack. The little girl's backpack has Gizmo on the back.
I didn't notice that today either. So
okay, yeah, I've seen this movie so many times and never did I realize that's Gizmo. So that's obviously a connection to the fact that he wrote Gremlins.
Yeah,
which is cool. A lot of people confuse this for a John Hughes movie. As far as I'm aware, he had little or no involvement.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he didn't, but I think the reason it gets confused is because Chris Columbus did this, and then very shortly after did Home Alone, which is John Hughes, directed by Chris Columbus. Takes place in Chicago. I think that as well, being a teen family-friendly comedy that takes place in Chicago from the 80s, just makes it instantly feel John Hughesian in its entire approach. What were some of the moments that really stuck out to you?
This was like a movie that I watched with my mom a bunch. Like this was our go-to watch together movie. Like whenever it must have been on HBO though, because it always was intact when we saw it. It wasn't the TV edit or anything, but the scene that we liked. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the TV edit didn't exist until like the late 90s, like ABC Family era.
Okay.
Because I am pretty sure I remember seeing this on Disney Channel, and they didn't say the Thor's a weirdo. I'm pretty sure that was still intact.
Right.
But yeah.
Our favorite scene was the Blues Club. We would we would sing that song.
The Babysitting Blues.
Yeah, the Babysitting Blues. Yeah. Very fun.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, one of the big takeaways was I think this is what taught me that you could put your lips to glass and blow and be really funny.
Right.
With the whole stray dog part. A lot of it was over my head. So I remember like in my teenage years watching it again and suddenly getting stuff. There's a lot of Playboy in this movie.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't remember, because I grew up near Chicago, I don't remember there being like ads for like the newest issue of Playboy all over town.
Also, I don't think Playboy centerfolds are ever like fully clothed. So I think that's an inaccuracy in the movie. also, I mean, this was pre-internet, so maybe, but I can't imagine like all these guys at a Kappa party suddenly being like, oh, it's Miss June or April or whatever month she was. Right.
And like,
and then they want her autograph.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be worth something,
Right.
Signed Miss June. That really stuck with me. This was also my introduction to Thor. I had never really read much Marvel comics, and X-Men, the animated series, and the Spider-Man animated series was kind of my Marvel introduction before the movies. But Benji, who keeps popping in here, was familiar with Thor, but was not familiar with Adventures in Babysitting. So just fun anecdote, I made him watch it when the first Thor came out because I kept saying Thor's a homo, and he was not quoting back along with me. Take it back, Rick. Take back what you said about Thor.
Right.
Which I always thought was very fun. Hello.
Hi. I want to go to like the weird Marvelness of this because Thor is played by Vincent D'Onofrio, who ends up playing the Kingpin in the Daredevil
Netflix show.
And Daredevil is referenced in Adventures in Babysitting. She says the name Daredevil.
And then the Thor, this has no relation to Adventures in Babysitting, but it's a Disney guy. The guy who played Thor in the Incredible Hulk TV movie.
Lou Ferrigno.
No, that was the Hulk.
No, I know, but the Lou Ferrigno era of Hulk.
Ended up playing the dad in Good Luck Charlie.
Yes.
So.
Well, what's Good Luck Charlie?
A Disney Channel series. that's
Oh, okay.
been off the
That's
air for like
okay.
a decade
But there
now,
was a
so.
Disney Channel remake of Adventures in Babysitting, so that
There was.
guys
Have
did
you
it.
have you seen that, Mike?
I've seen a clip from it
It's
because
in,
I was surfing around YouTube clips about Adventures in Babysitting and somebody had mashed them together or something. I don't know.
they're quite different.
Yeah.
It takes away. What were you gonna say, Ben?
Oh, I was just gonna say, isn't there a scene in Thor: The Dark World that
That pays
calls?
homage to the little girl on the slanted building in Chicago. Yeah,
Oh.
they do call back to that. There's like a moment where I think Thor is like sliding down a slanted building and like hanging onto a rope, and it's basically.
Wow, I never made that connection.
Oh yeah,
Thor: The Dark World. I've seen it, I think, twice, and I
Mhm.
still cannot tell you. I have no memory of that movie. It's such a nothing in my brain.
It's about introducing one of the Infinity Stones, but as like a floating glowy mass is
Yeah.
really what you need to know.
Well, I know, isn't Christopher Eccleston the villain in that? I don't know. That's
Then
the
she
only
would
thing.
know better than I. It's an alien, if I remember correctly.
I'm gonna go. I think the statute of limitations is out. That is, it's fine in terms of like Marvel movies. I mean, it's better than like the Green Lantern movie, but it's definitely on the weaker side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, agreed.
There's
but
a
yeah,
statute of limitations on saying that a MCU movie is not that great.
I think when the
Okay,
phase
so
ends,
like, yeah, I remember when this movie came out, I still worked for Disney, and like,
Okay.
so all my friends that worked at Marvel would be like, "Yeah, that's not good. Like, it's not good." Like, but like, I would never say that in public. That like all my friends at Marvel didn't like it, but I feel like now I can, maybe,
Okay.
or I just got into trouble.
anyway, I would say once the phase ends, you can say like this one's rubbish, this one's gold. But yeah, the remake, which was the 100th Disney Channel original movie, they had a big premiere for that. They were very proud to have hit 100 because they slowed down. They used to make one a month, and now they make like 2 a year. But it very much changed the dynamic. It was two girls like co-babysitting, one uber responsible, one fairly reckless. And they ended up in the city not because of a friend trapped in somebody else's house, but I think it was just that the reckless one like needed to go there for something. So they dragged them all into some Canadian city, clearly not Chicago, but they said it was. And they added like a whole bunch more kids. So I've only seen it once, but it was way convoluted. It was definitely a 21st century take on the story.
Yeah.
So it fixed some of the things that people would probably take issue with now, but it was nowhere near as charming or as funny or as memorable. Which this one's hard to top. Anyway, so I mean, I'm a huge fan of it, and with the edits, I was curious to know. You said you felt like it took a little bit of the bite out of it. I felt like it also took quite a bit of the comedy out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'll just say, as a gay man, I had no objection to the older brother, in this era saying Thor's a homo, and then the girl being like, "Take it back, Rick. Take back what you said about Thor." And I would say later when they meet a man who looks a lot like Thor, who has their car hostage, and she tells him, "My brother said you're a homo," versus a weirdo. Like one at that time would be much more offensive than the other, and his reaction doesn't really make sense in this edit.
Right. There's another joke when they're hiding in the chop shop, and he goes like, "You got to be kidding me!" in the TV edit, and she's like, "Watch your mouth," and he's like, "Watch my mouth? You got to be kidding me!" It's like this just makes no sense now at all.
Yeah, they would have been better off just like cutting that out. And some of the dubbing really works. Some of it doesn't. Like sometimes you're like, "Oh, it looked like the lips could have been saying that." And other times it's like, no. Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion has a TV edit, and Janine Garofalo's character in that, like every other word's the F word. But in that, if you ever see the like freeform version, it's so jarring, and it's somebody else's voice who doesn't really match Janine Garofalo's vocal tone. So like just like one random word at like a different pitch, replacing an F-bomb. Pretty much every line she says.
There are some movies that are famously made slightly even more hilarious with the TV edit, like The Big Lebowski.
Mhm.
This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. Very, very funny. Whoever did that, I assume it was people involved with the movie because they have a sense of humor. So,
Yeah.
But this
Yeah,
movie was not helped by the cuts. I wish they would just put up the original version. There's other movies on Disney Plus with swears in them, so why
yeah.
can't this one have them?
I mean, we've got Hamilton with
Yeah.
just 2 F's taken out, but 1 intact. So if this was going to have 1 or 2,
Yeah,
I don't see. What I could see them doing is reclassifying the rating.
sure. Yeah,
Like, it says PG. That was by 1987 standards when
right.
PG-13 was new and really just for indie movies, Indiana Jones, not independent films. So, I mean, I could see them doing something like that. But yeah, this was it's odd the way it's presented. I did appreciate that at least there's a disclaimer letting you know. I would have caught on pretty quick, but it does kind of present you with this film has been edited, just so you know. And it would also be nice if, in addition to Disney Plus, if the unedited version was available on Hulu. If you had the Disney bundle,
Right.
I feel like that would be a smart option, because as you and I pointed out, there are some aspects of the film that don't work as well when they're watered down this way.
Yeah.
And you even pointed out a joke that just made no sense in context.
Yep.
Christopher Columbus, or Chris Columbus, I guess as he goes by to be less confusing with the explorer who did not find the United States in 1492, went on to do a lot after Adventures in Babysitting. I don't really have any frame of a reference of how successful this was at its initial release, but he was clearly offered Home Alone shortly after, which I don't think was necessarily expected to be a big hit. Do you recall, like, were kids at your school talking about Adventures in Babysitting? Was this popular to you?
Do I remember other kids talking about it? I don't know. It was definitely a movie that, like I said, my mom and I loved and we would recommend to other people. I don't remember other kids necessarily being into it.
Because I remember like telling friends at school about it and then
Yeah.
being like, that doesn't sound good. It's a movie about a babysitter. Sounds like those Babysitter Club's books.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I really even I'm trying to remember if I even like talked to other kids in school about movies and stuff.
Because you thought they would think that you watched Babysitter's Club, the Scholastic TV show based
No,
on
I don't think I would have been embarrassed by it. It's just not something that came up. I don't know.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think he went right from this to Home Alone, which I know it's not on Disney Plus or a Disney streaming service, but The Movies That Made Us has a Home Alone episode. It's directed by the same director who just did Behind the Attractions. So if you like that documentary style, you can kind of learn more about the history of making Home Alone. It would be cool if they did Adventures in Babysitting. The new season has Pretty Woman in it, which was also a Touchstone film. And Gary Marshall and gave Julia Roberts her big break. So that's definitely out there to check out. I'm looking forward to catching that. Was there anything else about Adventures in Babysitting that you feel like is a must touch on?
Go
I
ahead.
have a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever get this movie confused with Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead?
No.
No, because I never liked that movie.
Before I met Alex, I was convinced I saw this movie because there was a movie with a babysitter in the title. And
but that movie, so no, I never got them confused. Yes, I do love Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and I never even put them in the same category because the one, it's about a teenager trying to cover up the fact that the babysitter is dead so she can have some responsibility. Whereas this one is like a very responsible girl, already with too much responsibility, who like begrudgingly accepts this assignment and then gets this crazy adventure out of it, where she discovers that her boyfriend is two-timing her and also meets the future husband from Father of the Bride, and things are going to be fine because she has her new man.
Wait, is Elizabeth Shue also in Father of the Bride? No.
No, the nice guy she meets at the college party
He's the
is the the fiance of Steve Martin's daughter in Father of the Bride. And then also the father of one of the two babies being born in Father of the Bride 2.
Gotcha.
One of the two babies?
Yeah, the plot of Father of the Bride 2 is that both the daughter and the mom get pregnant at the same time and give birth, I think, on the same night. It's a big deal.
Right.
And Martin Short is back, even though he's a wedding planner. So they got
You had
Hans
to
and Franz
squeeze
back.
him in there somewhere.
You got to bring him back. We got to repeat some of these same beats.
Just to keep DB happy. Isn't that the same guy who played like some really creepy guy on Scandal?
Who? Oh, yes, he did. Yeah, he was like a serial killer. He was gonna cut open Kerry Washington and see if her insides were as red as the wine she liked to drink in those big gulps.
What are you talking about?
I remember this. Scandal. We switched.
Right,
We've jumped from Disney streaming services to Disney television productions. All of a sudden.
Well, I always liked the scenes in the bus station with Penelope Ann Miller's character.
Yes, and there's a lot going on there. My favorite part is the get out of my house and her kicking his slippers and cosmetic bag out and saying, "You just moved." But like, there's that big lady at the end who like kicks him out and she's like, "Get out of my house."
Yeah.
There's the guy with the gun. There's the giant rat.
The giant rat scene in particular is very funny to me because I get, she's lost her glasses. She can't see whether it's a rat or a kitten, which she thinks it's a kitten. But then once you pick it up, can't you feel that it's not a kitten?
Maybe it's her first time holding a cat. Maybe she was never. Her parents, Brenda, everything about Brenda screams like, my parents expect the house to be perfectly neat and tidy, and no, we can't have pets. So I'm gonna say it's plausible that Brenda had never touched a cat before in her life. I also love the hot dog vendor.
Yeah, that scene made me laugh today, even as an adult. I really
don't have a dollar, then I don't have a wiener.
Yeah.
It's great.
Just the idea of trying to pay a hot dog vendor with a check is very funny to me.
Yes, and it was like $1.
And it was like a check that had been like signed over to her by two different people or something. So.
Oh, she was going to sign it over to him for a hot dog.
Yeah.
Lots of 80s stuff. Like, clearly nobody has credit cards readily available yet. They're not that popular because nobody's got one. No one asks, like, you can pay me in credit. And it's just like, no, I won't accept a check. I have to wait for that to bounce, and I'm never going to find you because it's the 80s and we don't have the internet.
Right.
And if you're not listed in the phone book, shoot. But yeah, I really enjoy the film. Obviously, I do recommend that you watch it. It's a little bit disappointing that it's not available on the Disney streaming bundle, preferably on Hulu in its original unedited format. But the good news is the digital purchases, if you rent it or buy it digitally, are unedited, as is the Blu-ray release. The DVD release, I believe, is unedited, but it's also non-anamorphic, which I hate.
Oh, yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that's terrible. So don't do that. Get the Blu-ray. If you don't have a Blu-ray player, buy one.
Yeah, I would say definitely watch this movie if you haven't seen it, but please don't watch it on Disney Plus. It really doesn't work as well as it should.
Yeah. At least, for parents with concerns about kids repeating things, which I will say, as a kid, not really knowing what it meant, I would say, Thor's a homo. I would immediately follow it up with the response because I think it's so quotable. Take it back, Rick. Take back what you said about Thor. Well, cool.
I was just looking at Chris Columbus's filmography, and I feel like in the first half of his career, he made some good stuff. Mrs. Doubtfire is a very funny movie. I remember even enjoying 9 Months, I think. That came out in 1995.
Hugh Grant and what's her name?
Moore.
Yes.
And then Only the Lonely, I think I remember, with John Candy.
John Candy. I think that's one of his last films.
Oh, yeah. I never saw Heartbreak Hotel. I'm not sure what that is.
I don't think I've even heard of that.
But then starting with 1999's Bicentennial Man, I feel like his career really
went
down there.
I would argue, as a big Harry Potter fan, that was just a temporary down. Then he did the first 2 Harry Potters, stayed on as a producer.
Okay, I'm not a big Harry Potter guy, but my understanding among Harry Potter fans is that the first two movies are the least, like, considered among the least of the films. Is that wrong?
I would say that's wrong. In my opinion, they're the two that adhere closest to the books.
Okay.
So for people who are big fans of the books, those first two are like, yeah, you could read the book and see the film and get fairly similar experiences. And then 3 is where it really starts to deviate quite a bit. The director, it's a new director. He's got a bold vision. He's the one who puts like Harry in jeans, but with his like wizard robe open, makes him a little more angsty. And then from there, I think after that, they had like 2 more directors before Heyman, I think his name was, who finished the series off, did like the last 4.
Okay.
Anywho.
I did want to say that 2015's Pixels is one of my least favorite films that I've seen in the last decade.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I, as a rule, don't seek out Adam Sandler starring vehicles post 50 First Dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uncut Gems is good.
I have not seen that, but I do want to see it because I love Idina Menzel. But I've heard very mixed things. People either seem to love Uncut Gems or hate Uncut Gems. Never a middle ground on that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the schedule in front of me. Benji, are you available to tell our viewers what they should be looking forward to tomorrow and in the future?
In the future, our packages will be next week's movie club is a little movie called Jungle Cruise.
Oh.
Which tomorrow we will have a Jungle Cruise video celebration on Laughing Place at a time that is available to be seen on YouTube at 1 Pacific. And also tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we'll have Barely Necessities. At
merchandise
7:30, Disney Trivia Live. And then we'll get into Wednesday with Marvel Time and a whole lot of other fun stuff. Tomorrow you will have your review of Jungle Cruise on the website.
Yep.
And we'll have a review by somebody of Chippendale Park Life.
Yep.
And Mike is off.
Enjoy it.
But Wednesday he will be at Disneyland Park.
Ooh.
So
I think I'm going to try to make a TikTok. I've decided.
Oh wow. Jeremiah rubbed off on you, huh?
Yes.
Okay. As long as it's not you spending 40 minutes trying to explain what your Jungle Cruise cheat meal is, I think we're good.
I thought TikToks were like seconds long.
You would think so, but Disney Parks decided to push the boundaries.
Okay.
Little known fact: The Rock doesn't like eat junk food all the time, so when he does, he calls it a cheat meal.
Gotcha.
But they filmed it at Tropical Hideaway, so every 45 seconds, a Jungle Cruise boat would pass by, and he would turn around and wave at them because they would start cheering. And you could tell he was kind of over it, but he didn't want to be like the boat that he didn't wave to. So I look forward to hearing what Alex has to say about the Jungle Cruise. You've seen the movie too, Mike, so I look forward to hearing what you have to say about the Jungle Cruise movie. And
we can talk about it tomorrow.
And
but we're not talking about it until next week. Oh, you guys are talking about it as part of the stream. I see.
But we will be having movie club where we will spend all the time we want talking about Jungle Cruise. So
African Queen, but make it a comedy.
Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones had a baby,
it might look something like Romancing the Stone.
Do you know who stars in the Jungle Cruise movie?
Yes, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
I was worried you might have taken him for granted.
Waka waka.
Should have been bolder in your delivery.
Wow. Okay, well, that's enough puns for one night. Good night, everybody.